Hello, hello. All right, so not sure if anybody will be here live today. I did this as a random pop-up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about consistency, especially as a parent, because for a couple of reasons. So one is that was the topic of my blog post this week, but also just because it's been coming up a lot for me in life. And so I figure it probably comes up for other people too. So one of the reasons that it's been coming up for me is because we have had a couple of bouts of sickness ever since school started in September. And this means, kids up during the night, not feeling good, day home being closed because people can't come if anybody is sick. I think in general, the rules are fairly similar around the world right now, with things like that. And so things have just been shifting, and it's also been the transition from summer to fall. It's been the transition from a little bit more freedom to going back to school for my oldest. And with me, I'm bringing on a few extra day home clients and everything. So there's just been so many changes. And when changes happen, obviously it's really hard to be consistent. Now, there are a couple of key things to remember. So first of all, if things happen in life and you're not being consistent because everything goes crazy and you're up and down and who knows where you are, first of all, don't beat yourself up. If you have a plan in place and it falls apart when, life hits the fan, don't just reinvent the wheel. Don't start over again. Instead, go back. Go back to exactly what you were doing before that was working until everything went crazy. That is the best way to stay consistent, because that signals, especially with kids, that signals your kids that this is the way that things happen. And so when you go back to it, it just shows them what to expect. It shows them, okay, we're back to normal now, and so on. So consistency in general is the key to anything, I believe. If you do anything with consistency, you will do it better. So with that being said, when it comes to parenting, consistency is key. It's like the key to unlock our kids. So how can we be consistent? Well, first of all, I think, especially these days, we tend to be in such a rush all the time. And the best way to stay consistent is to slow down and basically think before you speak, but think first, act second. Another thing is to be honest with your kids. If you make a mistake, if you screwed up and should have done something a different way, you don't want to be blaming it on them or blaming it on outside forces. Be honest and say, Mama screwed up. Mama made a mistake. Mama made a bad choice. So whatever it is, be honest with them, because your kids are only going to learn honesty by what they see. They are only going to learn how to solve their problems and come up with solutions and learn how to communicate and all of those things by what they see from you. So set that example. Following through, even if it's not enjoyable to follow through. If you said that you're going to do something, follow through. If you can't, like if you physically cannot do it, something comes up and it just is not going to happen. Again, communicating with your children and setting a new time, not just erasing it off the board kind of thing. If you said that something would be the consequence for XYZ, then if XYZ happens, you need to follow through. with that consequence. A really, really awesome way to kind of take the burden of teaching and parenting off of your own shoulders is to let natural consequences come to play. And this can be really difficult. It can be crazy hard to let go of feeling like you need to give out a consequence, like you need to come up with the solution for your child that's going to fix their behavior. If you can, again, with the stop, think, and wait, and then act, if you can stop yourself for long enough to allow the natural consequences to take effect, they are so much more powerful than any consequence that you can come up with or any punishment. They will have so much more impact on your children, and they will create calm for you going forward because your child can't blame you for what came out of that. This natural consequences piece, I'll quickly, so punishments is like, most of the time it's in the moment, you're upset, you kind of say whatever comes into your head, you're acting out of anger, you're giving them something almost to hurt them because they did something to hurt you, whether it's like physically or emotionally or added to your stress or whatever. That is a punishment. And a lot of the time it has nothing to do with the actual offense that was made, if that makes sense. So you're just kind of, it's random. And if it's random, first of all, you won't remember what you said if you're going back and having to try to follow through. Second of all, your kids won't get it and they'll be like, what is her problem? That has nothing to do with what I did. And then kind of next down the line is consequences, and consequences make a lot more sense, but they're still doled out. So something happens and you as a parent step in and say, okay, this is the consequence of what just happened. Maybe you're calm through it and you are picking a consequence that's reasonable and that makes sense. But again, still it's being doled out. So what you want to do instead is just let things happen how they're going to happen. And this is really, really hard to put in practice as a parent. But like, for example, the example I used in my blog post was a sibling hitting another sibling. And a punishment for that would be like, no dessert for you. That has nothing to do with hitting, right? It's just you hurt somebody, so I'm going to hurt you by taking away something that you want. The consequence for that would be go to your room. You're not allowed to play with your sibling because you hit them. So at least it's related and it makes sense, but it's still doled out. The natural consequence would be that their sibling doesn't want to play with them anymore because they were hit. So all of this just to say the natural consequences are the most effective. When they are given a punishment or given a consequence by a parent, kids tend to want to rebel against that and feel then like something bad has happened to them. And then they don't feel bad about what they did. When a natural consequence happens, they might be upset in the moment, but it makes so much more sense that it has a lasting impact and it teaches the lesson so much better than we ever could. I have kind of a quick little funny story. My daughter the other day was playing around, like it was joking, but she was bragging about some treat that she had. And she was teasing me with it. Like I really couldn't have cared, but she was just playing around, like I said. So she's bragging about it and waving it around and not paying attention. And she tripped over a stool. And I mean, she laughed, but she turned around and she said to me, that was like a natural consequence. And I was like, yes, you get it, because I try so hard to let the natural consequences come into play. And I find because I have such a big age gap between my kids, My daughter tends to try to dole out the consequences or to try to give out punishments. And part of that is because I used to do that a lot more. And so that's what she learned originally. And then part of that is just that she feels like she's older, so she knows better, so she should be in control. And that's a lot of why parents do what we do too, right? So anyway, that was just a goofy moment that we had. What else did I want to talk about? So, another thing that we can do to stay consistent is to plan ahead. And obviously we can't plan ahead for every negative situation that's going to come up, but if you have like kind of general topics that are consistently issues in your home, whether it's the kids won't pick up their toys. So if you have like a specific thing that's going to come from that and you want there to be a doled out consequence, which is fine if that's what you choose, having that set ahead of time, first of all, the kids know what to expect. Second of all, you don't have to think about it or be angry and come up with something. You already have that tool set for yourself. So planning ahead, and then you stick to the consequences that you choose, and you trust them to have enough power to teach the lesson that you're trying to teach. And this is, again, really key and also really difficult, to just trust that the lesson's going to stick. It's okay, and you don't have to keep going. Then next, the next tip that I had is just leading by example. If you are, binging on junk food, let's go with that because it was just Halloween and I know I have been binging on junk food, so guilty. But if you're binging on junk food, it doesn't make a lot of sense to your kids if you say not to binge on junk food. If you say you need to eat your healthy food first and no treats until you've eaten your meals and all of this, but then they see you eating treats all day. Doesn't make any sense. So why would they listen? They need the things to connect and they need them to be able to be put together. So leading by example. And then pretty much the most important thing is no matter what method you choose, no matter what consequences or what punishments or whatever that you choose, if you are not consistent, your kids literally do not know how to behave. If you change the way that you do it constantly, your kids literally don't know what the right action to take is. It doesn't matter how many times you've told them before, because you are not staying with the same method. They don't know what to expect. They don't know what the right action is to take. That's just how it works. So you need to stick to one thing. And this doesn't mean, we can never make a mistake and never slip up and, fall back into old patterns or whatever. We all make mistakes. But what's important is, instead of beating yourself up and then deciding, well, that method didn't work and I'm going to reinvent the wheel, start all over, start from scratch, start from ground zero, and just try something new and try something new and try something new. Well, that is the reason your kids won't listen. You have to choose a method. It doesn't matter what the method is. Any method will work. But what matters is your kids need to know what to expect. So again, consistency is key. So pick what you're going to do. Put some serious thought into it. Figure out what's going to work for your family, what makes the most sense to you, what, your children's personalities are, everything. All of that comes into play. We all have different situations, but you want to put that thought in, make the decisions, have it laid out, talk to your kids and to your spouse, and make sure that everybody's on the same page and knows what to expect. And then follow through. Do what you said you were going to do. And then when it doesn't work at first, do it again the next time anyways, because your kids will not learn consistency one time. They will learn consistency and they will learn what to expect if you continue to follow through, even when it doesn't get the desired result the first time. And then when life goes crazy and the crap hits the fan, you come back And you start again with the same thing that you already talked about, the same thing that you already decided on, and you follow through again and again and again. And it can be really disheartening at first. And sometimes all we need is just a little bit of encouragement to keep going. But if you can go back to the same thing each time, your kid's behavior will be so different. And I've learned this through experience. I was definitely a punishments type at first, and I worked my way through, and now I try really hard to let natural consequences take effect. There are some things where we have in place that there are specific consequences for specific actions. Those are pre-made decisions though, and they're not made out of anger. So that's a really key part. It's really important. So yeah, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that today and kind of give some extra examples maybe of what that could look like, and maybe give a little bit of encouragement to any parents that are struggling with consistency, and just know that none of it happens overnight. Know that beating yourself up over a mistake and then changing the plan will undermine any consistency that you had before. So go back to whatever you had going on before and start again and again and again. And that is how consistency will be made. And you will see progress eventually. I promise you that. So anyway, that's all I had to say today. And I just wanted to share that with you. Hopefully there was something beneficial in there for you. And if you are struggling with consistency, Tia, it is really hard. It's hard for everybody. And so I think it's really important that we all remember that it is hard for everybody, that there is nobody that escapes this, that is just like, oh, it's so easy to be consistent. It's not. It's not, because life isn't consistent. So for us to stay consistent when life is like, it's really hard. So anyway, if you are struggling with consistency, what I wanted to say is come into the group, make a post and ask for advice, or make a post and ask for support. Tag me in that post if you can. And if not, then just, ask the group. That's what this group is here for. I definitely want to encourage you all to participate, to share how you're feeling, share what you're struggling with, share your wins so that moms can see, oh, that's how they did that. And that can get me somewhere too. And take your lessons and move forward with them. Hopefully we can all kind of do that together. But I hope that you all have a great day. Hopefully not too many of you are struggling with sickness at home, because it has just been horrible lately, as far as I know, for everybody. It seems like it's been one after the other. So again, though, I am here. I am always here. I love this group. I love this space. And I'm so grateful for all of you being here. And I just really want to encourage you to come here when you have questions, or to come here when you have something to celebrate, or when you just need support, when you just need to share. So yeah, that's it. Have a great day. Thanks for watching, and drop me a hashtag replay if you join. If you watch this later, let me know that you watched it. And if you have any questions, very welcome, Karen. I know it's, that was a big struggle for me, learning the difference. And actually with my ex, my oldest's father, like we had an actual argument about that at one point, where it was like, there is a difference between a consequence and a punishment. And there really is. It can be a fine line to walk. Anyway, I'm going to run and get started on supper, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you soon. Bye.